There is more than $56 million in unpaid fees on the books of Oklahoma district attorneys, and now private auditors urging them to hire collection agencies to go get the cash. This is a story put together by Paul Monies of Oklahoma Watch, and he's here now to talk with us about this story. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, what made you want to do this story?
Well, this story came out of a batch of audits done at the behest of the Agency Performance and Accountability Commissions. The District Attorney's Council is one of 6 agencies they looked at, and so this is one of the recommendations the auditors made to the commission itself.
How do the DAs feel about this recommendation?
Well, they see the need. They know they've got this large chunk of unpaid fees that are out there kind of hanging around, but they also kind of had some concerns themselves about hiring a private outside kind of collection agency to go after some of this stuff. They said that there might be some unscrupulous firms out there, and that they prefer probably to get the message directly from the DAs themselves. Are
these fees kind of like the main source of funding for DAs' offices?
They do provide a large chunk of it,
Okay.
and so the whole system of criminal justice is based a lot on fees, and a lot of people are looking at that in terms of how they fund these different agencies.
Well, with their hesitation of using collection agencies, can they look elsewhere in other states and see if other states are doing this?
Well, the auditors that the Accountability Commission hired looked at other states and said that there's probably about 8 or 9 other states, including Oregon and New Mexico and Florida and California, that do this already, who've had pretty good success with it.
Are they required to do this?
Now, they're not required because the Audit Commission itself said that they would kind of look at these and study the fees, but they're not required to. Normally, the legislation would require them to do that, but the Audit Commission said they could have maybe just looked at that instead.
Were there any, as you dove into this story, I know you can't always put out everything in the story that you learn because they only give you so much space, but anything that surprised you, that jumped out at you when you started looking into this?
Well, the whole system of kind of criminal justice and funding these agencies is something that lawmakers are looking at as well as kind of someone solving the incarceration problem the state has. And so this large chunk of money was kind of surprising. I think it surprised a lot of people. But the DAs themselves kind of recognize that they can't go after all of it. And then they do have to have different levels of funding. You could replace their funding with appropriations, but then you're less appropriations to other agencies around the state.
Well, you get into that catch-22 because Governor Stitt was talking about criminal justice reform, and then if you go after people for non-payment and put them in jail, that's kind of going against one another.
That's right. Yeah, there's this effort right now by all levels of government to kind of look at agencies in a hard light and kind of have them be more efficient, more accountable to taxpayers. But when it comes out to public policy decisions among criminal justice reform, that kind of is a hard kind of thing to push against. So.
All right, we'll be looking forward to your story. Paul Monies with Oklahoma Watch. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.